this computer. All right, now we're recording. So I just wanted to kind of touch a little bit base on a little bit of everything and some things that might be a little bit outside the box that you guys don't necessarily know about, but that are definitely more things that we should be doing, and they're kind of things that are like free. So we don't have to be like spending any extra money on getting ourselves healthy. It's just kind of getting back to our roots of where, like, you know, back like 200 years ago, kind of what we all started from. And if you guys are wondering what kind of tea I'm having, I don't know why, like everyone always asks me what kind of tea I drink, but I always go for organic, and I always go for the herbal tea. So this one's yogi. I don't know if you guys can see. I can't see myself, so I don't know if you guys can see that. But if you're from the Cape May area, I think we have a couple of you guys. If you go to the Green Tree Market, they're having a sale on this for two for $5, which is really good. And the reason why I go organic, and I'll talk about that tonight too, is if you're going to be drinking the herbs and everything, all of the chemicals, like you're boiling water, and if there's chemicals in that, you're going to be drinking hot chemicals. So if you're getting tea, make sure that it is organic, and it's not, organic tea is not much expensive than normal tea. And if it's nighttime, go for herbal. If you go for non-caffeine, that means they strip the caffeine out of the chamomile having. So always go for herbal, so you're actually getting the whole herb and not just the stripped processed version of the tea. And then, like, you can always do green tea or chai, or if you want like a good kick in the butt in the morning, matcha tea is also good. matcha. All right, so I have to remind everyone, this is only for educational purposes. I'm not here to diagnose, treat, or cure diseases. So just use this info to kind of guide you in your own journey. I'm not here to diagnose anyone, but this is more or less what I have learned from my journey that I have been on for the past like 4 years. If you guys don't know a little bit about my history, I suffered from severe stomach issues ever since I was in really middle school. I can remember like sitting there in like excruciating pain every single morning. And it was this thing that was just constant and would happen all the time. Went to a ton of doctors, you know, got a ton of tests done and drinking this solution and see where it ends up and all this stuff. Ended up on a ton of medication, had H. pylori. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a bacterial infection in your stomach. And I started getting a ton of like acid reflux, like to the point where it would almost like sit in my throat. Like it was just like the weirdest feeling. So I felt like I dealt with that for such a long time. I was sick of taking antibiotics because as soon as I finished them, I would need them again and again and again. So that's kind of when I started doing my own research and figuring out how to use food to heal me instead of food being the thing that caused the problem. And for me, I knew what was causing the problem was all the awful crap I was eating. So kind of going through that whole process, I figured, you know, I love health and fitness. I love nutrition. Why not kind of use the knowledge I have to kind of help others with this too? So I always have to kind of start with this, and I know like Patty, you joined my other group where I talked about this too. So I want to let you know now, like the next 2 slides might be the same, but the rest of the webinar is going to be completely different. So breaking the yo-yo diet cycle, I've done like so many freaking quote unquote diets and been in that cycle for so long that it's like, it always just feels like you're just going round and round and round and round. So the whole thing of like breaking the diet cycle is what happens is when you start a diet, and what I mean by diet is when people restrict their calorie intake, right? Because really weight loss is just a byproduct of decreasing your calorie. That way you're in calorie deficient mode and then you start to lose weight, right? But when you do that and you decrease your calories, you're also decreasing the nutrition at the same time. And you're also trying to work out as hard as you can, sweat as much as you can with less calories and less nutrition. So what's going to happen after that? You're going to get tired. You're going to get cranky. You're going to have a crap load of cravings. And then you're going to have temptation and you're going to give in, right? And then after you give in, you're going to feel like crap. I can't believe I did that. You're going to feel guilty. And then the stress of all of that guilt is going to bring on more cortisol to your system. That's the hormone, and it actually will stop you from losing weight. Cortisol will hold on to fat for dear life. It's kind of like that safety mechanism we have in our body. So like back in caveman days, when a lion was attacking a person, they would get an increase of cortisol because their life was in danger. But for us right now, like when we get stressed out and we get that cortisol, like we might be getting stressed out because a client like fell through, or our husband didn't come home on time, or the kids didn't call us back, whatever it is. It doesn't serve us as much as it did back then. So now when we feel that guilt and that stress, that actually makes things worse. So if you guys end up like mistaking, you know, if you missed a workout or you didn't do your containers right, or whatever, like don't stress about it. The more you stress about things, the worse that your body will react to everything. So with that diet cycle, right? After you feel that guilt, you say, oh, I'll start again on Monday. It's always that Monday, right? That Monday morning that, oh, everything's going to start all over and all fresh again. So I tell this to people because when you are starting something where you're starting to work out and you're decreasing your calories because that's how you lose weight, and you're decreasing your nutrition, that's where Shakeology is really a key part. Because I don't want to tell you guys like, hey, do this workout and drink Shakeology and not really give you the reasons why it's so important, because, you know, my word is my word, but like you guys should all be a little bit knowledgeable about what you're putting in your body. That way you're not just hearing from me, but you know that it's, you know, kind of facts are behind everything. So where Shakeology comes into place is that it fills in that nutrition gap. So when you're in that nutrition deficiency, your cravings is because your body's saying, I'm not getting the right nutrition. It is seeking out nutrition in every area, and that's where your cravings come from. So Shakeology doesn't help you lose weight because there's some like fat burning thing in it. Like a lot of things out there, they'll say, oh, this will burn your fat. No. Weight loss is a byproduct of good nutrition. So if your nutrition is on track and you're getting the full nutrition profile that you need, that's when you'll see that your body will start to work properly again. And then you'll start to lose weight. And then you'll start to feel good. What happens when you start to feel good, right? You eat better, and vice versa. When you eat better, you move more, you have more energy, you want to do your workouts because you feel good. So everything kind of like goes hand in hand. And just so you guys know, the way that Shakeology is extracted from the different countries that it comes from, because like moringa doesn't grow in the United States. I forget where it's grown from, but every superfood has an extraction, so it gets the most nutritional value out of the plant. So everything is more or less freeze dried. When things are dehydrated, you're actually taking away the nutrition from the food. So with Shakeology, everything is freeze dried, or like with moringa. Moringa is actually a plant, and they take the leaves and they let the leaves sit out and they let them dry. It's going to be a little bit different of a process in terms of like chia seeds or flax seeds. They're going to be processed a little bit differently, but they make sure that all the superfoods in Shakeology are processed this way so you can get everything out from it. You're not just getting a bag of empty calories. You're getting something that's really going to fuel your body. And the reason why this really changed the game for me in terms of my my stomach issues is because it had the pre and probiotics in it. And 4 years ago, I don't think pre and probiotics was as big as it was now. And all the doctors I've ever went to never told me about pre and probiotics. Never. They wanted to give me as many prescriptions and medication as possible, but they didn't want to tell me how food could actually help me. instead of trying to, give me something from the pharmaceutical companies. So that's why like Shakeology, it works together synergistically. And that means everything in the moringa leaf is in the moringa leaf, meaning we're not stripping away a vitamin from the moringa leaf and giving that to you in a pill. Because you guys know, like if you get a vitamin C, the likelihood of that vitamin C actually working in your body and your body being able to absorb it is very, very low. But when you actually get the whole food, and that's like why we say Shakeology is a whole food supplement, meaning you get the whole moringa leaf. You don't get part of it. You don't get the vitamin C extracted out of it because our body does not know how to process foreign objects. It knows how to process food. It does not know how to process powder puffs or Twinkies or synthetic vitamins or even real vitamins that have been extracted. It needs everything together so that it can work synergistically. So your liver and your kidney and your heart and your brain can work together. If one part of your body isn't working correctly, more than likely it's coming from some other part. Everything is very, very interconnected. So I really love research, and the American Medical Association studies show that 92% of Americans are deficient in at least one micronutrient. And a micronutrient is either a vitamin, mineral like zinc or magnesium. Macronutrient is protein, carbs, fats, and I think we all kind of get enough of those things, right? But it's those micronutrients, those little nutrients that most people kind of don't even pay attention to, and that's what people are really deficient in, and that's why half of us are kind of walking around like zombies, exhausted, tired, having problems, whether it is with our skin or I had this cleaning lady come over last week, and I felt so bad for her. Her entire body was covered in like, I guess it was like psoriasis, but it was just full of scabs, and it was because of, I know why it was because of all the cleaning solution that she uses on a daily basis. All those things, even though she's not ingesting those chemicals, it's seeping right into her skin, and her body is that's like that's an immune reaction. So your body's actually, her own body's attacking herself because of all that chemical that's going into her body. And even like my house looked really clean, but when I came in, I could just smell the amount of like chemicals. I'm like, crap, I'm going to have to buy all these like nice non-toxic chemicals for her to use, because if it's doing that to her body, like that stuff that we're breathing in totally has an effect on us. All right. I know I went completely sideways. So how I was talking about how our body is all interrelated together. So your blood system, right? What is pumping your nutrients to your organs is your blood. And what's in your blood is all the vitamins and minerals. So that's how Shakeology supports all these different systems, one piece at a time. So it's putting the nutrition in your blood. Your blood is then getting it to the digestive system so that it can absorb. And a lot of people say you are what you eat. You are what you can absorb. You are what you can facilitate. If you can't take that vitamin C from a pill, then you're just going to pee it out, right? So we need to make sure that we're actually processing it. And that's where the pre and probiotics come in from. And that's where the digestive enzymes from Shakeology come from. So we can actually break it down into the particles that we need and then use those particles in the right way that we're able to use it properly, right? So immune system, are you getting your antioxidants and adaptogens? Because as much as I would like to say, I eat absolutely great all the time, that would be a big fat lie. Patty knows I love my ice cream. And so does Michelle know I love my ice cream. But there's things in our system, like all the freaking toxins this cleaning lady used on my house, I can't control. Or all of the chemicals in the oxygen, like I can't control that. Like I need to breathe, but we need to support our bodies by getting rid of those free radicals and that oxidation by getting antioxidants and adaptogens to make sure that our immune system is like top notch. Obviously our muscular system, because we're getting amino acids, which is the building blocks of protein. There's 12 amino acids. If we're missing one of those amino acids, we're breaking that chain. So if you buy like whey protein, it has the 12 full amino blocks. But if you're going with like vegan protein, so like say you're going to GNC and you're just getting a regular vegan, a vegan protein shake, make sure it has 12 of those amino acids, because if you just have like a couple of them, you're kind of, you're missing the puzzle piece. So you're not getting the full thing that your body needs. So say like you're working out and you have your half vegan shake or your vegan protein shake from GNC, you're not building and repairing, because that's what happens when you work out. You're going to be breaking down your muscles. You want to make sure that you're not working out for no reason. Sorry, I get really thirsty. You want to be making sure you're not working out for no reason, that you're not just working out hard for 30 minutes and then not refueling your body the right way. And we definitely really need protein within that 15 to 25 minutes. I would say 30 minutes, you're pushing it. So 15 to 25 minutes, you need to get that protein in. And yes, you also need to get a little bit of carbs, because when you're working out, you're depleting your glycogen stores, and having a little bit of carbs right after your workout with your protein. That's why Shakeology is really awesome for right after you do your workouts. You're going to be fulfilling that nutritional need that your body needs to rebuild your muscles. So your hair, your nails, and your skin. That makes common sense, right? If you have good nutrition, you're getting all those minerals into your nails and hair, it's just going to grow longer, faster, look pretty, and then you'll have a nice selfie on Facebook. Lymphatic system. We're going to be talking about this in tonight too, is detoxifying all the toxins that you put in your body. Like, I don't think people realize tap water is really bad for you. The townships, like, they put so much fluoride and chlorine in that water to get rid of all the bacteria that's in there. But guess what's happening to all the fluoride and chlorine? It's coming into our systems, and our systems are being completely bombarded with trying to get rid of all these toxins. So your endocrine system, growing an energy from your hormones. So how I was kind of talking about your cortisol levels. You want to decrease from all that stress, and that's also connected to adaptogens and antioxidants, is so you can get your body de-stressed, because it's working super duper hard trying to get rid of toxins and rebuild your muscles and do everything else it's supposed to do. And then your nervous system, so you can function so you can remember things. I remember, like, before Shakeology, I worked as an athletic trainer at a high school. I didn't have to be until work until 11, but I worked really late. But at 11 o'clock, I would go in and be extremely exhausted. And like, I couldn't remember things. I'm like, the time I think it was 27. Like, how can I not remember things? It like blew my mind. It was because I was coming home eating, I think I had like raviolis. I swear to God, every single night. And I used to watch Rachel Ray, and she made this ravioli soup, and she put spinach in it. So I thought, all right, like, I'm getting my spinach in it, right? I'm getting my veggie. But I had that every night, and it was just like, I was not getting any nutrients besides a little like piece of spinach here and there. So it helps you with your memory and your nervous system. Like, that's absolutely huge to have the energy, because your nervous system is energy fields, to be able to talk to each other and to tell, like, all right, like, I'm hungry, or I'm satiated, I'm full, like, all right, like, time to get that signal to the brain to let me know, like, all right, I'm good, like, I need to stop eating, right? So I made a video, and I don't think I posted it in this group yet, on how to make your shake. I'm not going to go over it too much here. I think there's a million bazillion ways to make Shakeology. You just have to find the right way for you. It's kind of coming up with your favorite recipe. You just have to kind of play around with it a little bit. You might put a little bit too much water in it one day, and then just don't put that much water in it the next day. If you want it a little bit thicker, try going with more ice, less liquid, or adding almond milk or coconut milk. And people I know always look at me funny when I say add avocado. but avocado really thickens it, almost like pudding. I love it like that. I think it tastes really good. And you don't even taste the avocado, but you just have to try out different recipes. And I'll post that video on how to make your shake taste good, because I know if it doesn't taste good, why are you going to drink it, right? Obviously you should drink it because it's good for you, but you should obviously love what you drink too. And if you guys have to wake up really early in the morning and you don't want to wake up your spouse or your parents, you can make it the night before. The nutrition stays good for up to 24 hours cold. So if you're taking it from work and having it for lunch, at least make sure that you're putting it in a fridge that you can take with you. And then I did want to just mention a little bit about the portion controlled containers, even though we're going to be talking about it in the group. So this is obviously breaking that the yo-yo diet cycle too, because you're getting the right amount of each nutrition. And I'm not going to go into macronutrients tonight with like your proteins and your carbs. Everything's already laid out for you with doing the equation, knowing how many containers that you have. So this was like back in the day when the containers kind of first came out. They didn't have the stickers that they have that you have now, but I just wrote on like with permanent marker like how many containers I could have per day. But that app is absolutely awesome. Or if you want to use the tally sheets in back of the booklet, or if you want to use like the notes section on your phone, you can use that too to just keep things really simple. That way you're not guessing. And make your food really simple too. I'm not going to go over like recipes now because that stuff I can easily post in the group. But like for the first 1 to 2 weeks, definitely keep it like, you know, chicken. I grill even if it's like snowing. Like last week it snowed. I was grilling. I do like bison burgers, so I'll just take like ground bison or ground beef or I had ground lamb burgers. I don't have the bun. I just, you know, make it into a patty, put it on the grill. So you could do that with chicken, steak, shrimp, or do crock pot stuff. We have a lot of great recipes for that we'll be sharing. And just steam things, like steam your veggies or roast your veggies. Keep things very simple. Simple fruits like, you know, bananas, apples that are to go that you don't even, you know, you can wash and rinse. Or what else? Carbs. Make a big thing of brown rice and you're good for the entire week. Or quinoa. Or make like 5 sweet potatoes. Make them all at once. Take them out. You can mash them, put some Himalayan sea salt and some cinnamon, and you're good to go. So just keep things really simple. And then if you want to get fancy with the recipes later on, do that later on, right? Like we want to make things as simple as possible in the beginning. And if you need to take things really slow, just start off by like getting enough red containers in per day. Then the next day, focus on getting enough green containers. I know for me, the hardest thing is definitely getting in those greens and getting in the protein. So like Patty was asking me today, like, how can I get more? Or she said, you know, can I put extra veggies in my shake without it tasting like a veggie shake? I say spinach is the easiest thing to do if you want to throw extra into your shake. You don't really taste it. You just have to make sure that you kind of blend it up longer to get all the spinach kind of cut up in there. And how I kind of get an extra veggie is instead of like a banana or some fruit for a snack, I'll actually have a veggie and a protein as a snack. So kind of like a mini meal, probably around like 4 o'clock. My snack, like my banana and peanut butter is usually for like a 12 o'clock kind of snack. So before I kind of dive in to what I really wanted to talk about tonight, did anyone have any questions about Shakeology, about the containers, about looking at like the food list that you're allowed to pick from, or any foods that you normally do like, but they're not on the list? No? Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep chugging along. I'm gonna try and talk really fast because I have a lot of information. So hopefully I can keep you guys awake. I know it's 9:30, so thanks so much for hanging in there with me. So these are the things that I wanted to talk about tonight. Some things that are kind of a little bit outside of the box, not like the normal like kind of health talk that I think we normally get, just because these are things that we can be doing every single day, and it's something tiny, right? Like, it's not about implementing everything that I talk about tonight tomorrow. Like, that's unrealistic and it's going to overwhelm you. If you guys can just take one thing away from tonight, then I think we can call that a success, right? So each of these 5 life forces is good for like any living being on this planet. Like, we all need nutrition, hydration, oxygenation, alkalization, and to detoxify ourselves. And I'll kind of go point by point with each. So a lot of people always ask me, like, I don't understand, like, what's a whole food and what's a processed food, or like what's clean eating and what's like, you know, chemically, or like what's GMO mean and all that kind of stuff. So like I was saying before, like with Shakeology, it's a whole food. You're getting the whole strawberry, right? You're getting the whole vegetable. So it's food in its natural state. So if I can go outside in nature and find this food, that means it's a whole food. That means it exists in real life. It's not man-made. A processed food like strawberry Pop-Tarts is not able to be picked outside on a tree and pulled off and eaten. It is something that is completely man-made, and yes, it has calories, and sure, it might make you feel full, but there is no nutritional value. And hopefully maybe that's the one thing that you guys take away from tonight is, even if it has 0 calories or no fat or no sugar, there is something in there that is making it no fat, no sugar, and still tastes good. And you have to wonder and ask yourself, what is that substance actually doing to me? So while those processed foods are giving you calories and they're at the shelves at the grocery store, it doesn't necessarily mean that they give you any sort of nutrition for your body. So, whoops, going a little fast there. So from whole foods, we want to get the most nutrient-dense food that we possibly can. And I know a lot of these things might be a little bit outside of the box, but that's why I wanted to talk about them. Just go a little bit outside of the box to what you guys are normally used to hearing. So the best way to get a fruit is when it's ripe. And I know when I go to the grocery store, and this gets me very angry, is when I see all the bananas and they're green. That gets me angry because I know that it hasn't spent all of its lifetime on the plant really getting its full nutrition. And you're going to say, well, it does ripen in the store. It does, but it's not connected to its roots. So all the nutrition that it would be getting from the soil is not there. So while it tastes like it's ripe, you're still not getting the best nutritional content. And then you also have to be asking yourself, how long has it been sitting on the shelves? And then distance-wise, where is this food actually coming from? And I think, Cheryl, you might know, like, there's a local honey company in Cape May, and local honey is extremely good for you because it has all the like antioxidants and all of the allergen, the histamine, antihistamines already in it, because you're living in that location. So it's going to have that potency to really help you with what your surroundings are. So the closer that you can get your food to, so like a local farmer's market, I know it's winter and this is like really going outside of the box and you can't really do that now, but definitely like when the summertime comes, getting your food the closer that it's grown locally to you, the better, and the freshest obviously is the better. And I think the best thing to do is have your own garden in the summer. I know now it's winter and it's kind of hard, but having your own garden, whether it is, I did kale like for the past, last year we didn't because we moved, but like for the past 2 years before that, like my entire garden was like kale and cucumbers. And I think I lived off of that for like a good like three months during the summer. Cooking things really depends on what nutrition content you're getting. So like when you steam things, don't steam it for extremely too long, or do it like on that medium setting where the water is not like completely like boiling over, but you're just getting that nice steam for like, 3-4 minutes. So it's, like spinach probably wilts a lot sooner than broccoli is going to, right? So just kind of little things, just pay attention. Like I'm not going to sit there with the thermometer and be like, oh, it's 118 degrees over. Like, no, I'm not expecting you guys to do that. And I don't do that myself. It's just something to kind of be a little bit conscious about, right? I can go for probably 2 hours talking about organic. And I love saying bigger is not always better, right, ladies? Yes, the non-organic food is going to look prettier. It's going to have, like the apple with the wax all covered over it. If you go to a real apple tree, there's no wax on the apple, but it makes it look very pretty. And when it's pumped full of pesticides and all that stuff, it grows a lot bigger. It grows a lot faster, but that doesn't mean the faster it grows, the more nutrition that it has in it. It's actually completely the opposite. If we're pushing things to grow at a faster rate, it's doing that on what terms, right? There's being some sacrifice in between those things. So I would say if you're going to go half organic, I would do it with meats. I think meats are highly toxic if they're not organic or at least grass-fed. And like I said, if you can't afford that, I completely understand. And I understand that organics are definitely a lot more money. But I say, take a look at it this way. Do you want to pay your grocery store now? Or do you want to pay your doctor 30, 40 years and the pharmaceutical industry? I know it's hard when it's in the here and now to see spending that kind of money, which is more being proactive, right? And protecting yourself to where, all right, like you don't know what's going to happen 20, 25, 30 years down the road, but you're kind of willing to gamble at it. So that's all I say is just to kind of like take a look to see what you could potentially afford and how that can help you down the road. Because I hate when people say, well, I saw in the news that organic doesn't mean anything different. If you think chemicals that are making things grow faster, bigger, stronger is not having a direct impact on us, it is. It's having a huge impact on us. And they're even finding the pesticide Roundup like in our stool. So if you guys know like what Roundup is, it's the pesticide that or the growth for the grass. All that stuff is seeping into our water system, seeping into what the cows and everything else is eating. And it's in us. And our body is trying to do all this other work. And it's trying to get Roundup out of us. And that is a huge toxin. So like I said, I can talk about organic for a million years. But personally, I think it's the best way to go. And you're going to obviously get the most nutritional value from it. And I know we have some people that are picky, including me. Like I have the food that I like to eat, and I like to stick with those foods. But the average American diet, like we only have 30 foods that we like to eat, that we go around. And I'll even say I probably stick with maybe 20 on an average basis. But the more that we pick from, everything has its different nutritional content, right? So if we're missing something and we're having the same things over and over again, we're missing on that same nutrition over and over again. So I really love that Michelle did the bok choy video the other night, because that's one thing I've never tried. And since she showed us that, I was like, you know what? I think I might go try some bok choy. Yes, it's weird. Yes, it might taste funny the first few times. I've never had Brussels sprouts before, I would say this year. Like I've never tried it. And I saw a paleo recipe with bacon and Brussels sprouts. I'm like, bacon can make everything taste good. And now we love Brussels sprouts. So I say, if you don't try it, you never know. The worst thing that can happen is you don't like it and you move on, right? So try and get variety, especially like say if you've been doing the containers for like a month or two, definitely try switching it up, whether it's you're switching up your veggies, you're switching up your grains a little bit, you're switching up your meats. I'm like a big bison lamb person. I like gamey meat. If you don't like gamey meat, maybe try and do turkey instead, or something else. Definitely try and have more variety in your meals. Oh, and this one is really good too. Have you guys ever wondered like why as an adult you start to get allergic to some things? Like I know people tell me all the time like, oh, I never used to be allergic to this before, but now like when I eat it, like my throat closes up or something. When we eat the same food over and over again, sometimes those things, those food substance, if we have leaky gut, and I'll probably talk about leaky gut next week, that stuff can seep into our bloodstream. And when our body sees that same stuff over and over again, it's going to think it's an invader and kind of attack it. And that's where we get allergic reactions from, is our own body attacking things. So if you keep having the same thing, like I know I have banana every day. I can't help it. I love bananas. More than likely, if I keep doing that, I could potentially become allergic to bananas just because your body is seeing that all the time, and it needs to see something else different. So don't just stick to one thing. Spice up your life. I was actually gonna put a little Spice Girls thing in there, but I didn't. All right. So this is kind of just reiterating my whole organic thing. So pesticides and herbicides, they're supposed to kill things. That's their job. It is coming into us. So if it's going to kill something else, it's definitely going to be doing something to us. And that's where our defense system gets so overwhelmed, whether it's with pesticides or the fluoride in the water, and then the Roundup from the grass, and then all the allergens that we're dealing with because we're eating all this processed food. That's where our immune system becomes completely overwhelmed. And a lot of people suffer with autoimmune diseases. Like, how many people do you know that suffer from rheumatoid arthritis? Like, I can name 5 people my age, 30, that have rheumatoid arthritis. Like when I was like, maybe even 10 years ago, that was kind of unheard of. So why are all these people getting all these autoimmune deficiency diseases? Is because there's something in our body that our body is attacking, and it's being completely overwhelmed, and it ends up attacking ourselves. So life force number 2 is water. And I think everybody knows this. Most of us is made up of water. That is how we get all the nutrients, hormones, the messages, the electrolytes, the brain pulses. It regulates our temperature. It removes waste, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It operates the immune system, brain and nervous system. Like, that thing is absolutely huge. And guess what, guys? It's free. There are so many things that are attributed to being dehydrated, like being tired or not being able to fall asleep. Who has that problem where you can't stay awake, but you can't fall asleep? You're kind of like in that like dead zone. Think about your water. Or maybe you're just feeling dry. This was a good tip that I learned from, I used to work in New York City in Greenwich Village for a physical therapy center. And one guy said, the more that you use chapstick, the more likely you are dehydrated. When you're hydrated, your lips are full and plump, right? You don't need to slab all that stuff on. So it's simple things like that, of dryness on your skin, itchiness, that we don't, even allergens. If we just drink more freaking water to get all that toxins and to get everything out of us, why not? It's free. So do any of these things sound familiar? Headaches, hypertension, depression, chronic pain, stress, chronic allergies, low energy, being a little cranky pants. All of those things, you just have to drink it, right? And see if it works for you. If you're like, Rose, it doesn't work. Well, you know what? It was free, right? And it helped you out anyways. And I always used to get headaches like nonstop. especially, around the period time. But I don't think I've had Advil in 2 or 3 years. The only time I've had pain medication was when I had wrist surgery, and I tried going without pain medication after that, and it was a bad choice on my part. There are some things that medicine is good for, and after you have a plate removed from your bone, I would suggest that is a good time for it. But things like headaches, or just try drinking a glass of water. And another little tip I learned too is by putting a little thing of pink Himalayan sea salt underneath your tongue and drinking the water will help with headaches too. So just try it, right? Like, what harm? It can't do any harm. Filtered water. I know it's super duper hard, especially if you're in an office all day, or you think that the filter in your refrigerator is getting all the toxins, all the chemicals, all the fluoride, all the chlorine out of your water system. It's not. It's pretty much a big fat liar to you. I'm really not sure what the filtered water in your refrigerator does do. I really don't think it does much. I've done like water tests and stuff. At our old house, we had well water, which is actually a little bit better than city water because you're not getting all the chemicals in it, and you really do have to test that stuff, so you're not getting things from the ground. But as much as you possibly can, drink filtered water. If your fridge water is all you have, I think that's 100 times better than tap water. I think tap water is absolutely awful. Fluoride has been known to increase estrogen levels through the roof. So what does that mean? It means that we're going to be estrogenically high, and all of our hormones are going to start to get thrown off. So if you know, like your cycle with your period, if your estrogen levels are too high, that's going to make your progesterone levels too low, and then you're not going to ovulate. How many of you know someone that had to get IVF or something like that? I believe it's because there's fluoride in freaking everything, and people don't realize how much of an effect that's had on our hormone system. And even in, I'll post this in our group, even the water that's coming out of your faucet, so when you brush your teeth, when you shower, that's going through your skin. Your skin is a barrier, but only for so much. So that fluoride is still getting in. So I have a little filter on my shower, and then when I take baths, yes, I take baths. I haven't taken them recently, but I also have like a filter for the water going down, so it's filtering out the fluoride and it's filtering out the chlorine in it. So that I might go to next week too, of talking about environments, what you have around you that's making you sick. Like if you guys have those plugins in your room, please take them out. They're making you sick. They're absolutely awful for your allergies. I think I'll talk about that next week because I can talk about that for a while. So drink filtered water. Drink 1 cup as soon as you wake up. When you sleep, you breathe very shallow, so you're not getting that carbon dioxide out. So that carbon dioxide is building in your bloodstream throughout 8 hours. Hopefully you're getting out 8 hours, if not 3, 4. But when you drink that 1 cup of water as soon as you wake up, that's going to help flush your system of all that carbon dioxide that's been building up in there, right? So I always just like have my mason jar of water or your water bottle, put it right on the, right next to your bed on your nightstand. As soon as you wake up, drink that cup of water and you're good to go. Make sure you're drinking half of your body weight in ounces throughout the day. You can make marks on your cup, or if you do like a gallon, or just use the 21 Day Fix app and you can kind of click the water on how much you drank. I know for me, I totally struggle with water. It's one of those things that you forget about because you're so busy throughout the day. When I used to work outside of my home, I would drink a legit like 32 ounces of water from the time I left school to the time I got home, which was like 40 minutes. I had to run to the bathroom as soon as I got home, but at least I knew I got like that 32 ounces of water in me. So try and think of a time where you're like, all right, every time I get up from my chair, I'm going to take a sip. or every time I go to the bathroom, I'm going to have a half a glass of water. Kind of make it something that's a routine, something that's cyclical so that you stick with it, just so you can get your water in. And then also remember that the more live food meaning like live food that's fresh. So the spinach, watermelon, the fruits and veggies that you're eating, it has water in it. So don't forget that the more you eat of those fresh foods, the more that you're going to hydrate yourself too. All right, life force number 3 is oxygen. And this was actually a surprise for me. I really didn't know it until I was kind of doing some research on it. In 1931, this guy found that cancer happens when your body cells start to ferment sugar instead of using oxygen as its main force of energy. So that's like mind-blowing. So there's something that oxygen has a true, I mean, we all know if we don't breathe for 2 minutes, we're going to die. We can live without water. I don't know how long it is, a couple days. Food, I think we can go 1 or 2 weeks depending upon how much body fat we have. But oxygen is complete life or death for us. We absolutely need that in our system. And just like with everything that I think I've been talking about, like this stuff is free. When we get stressed, same thing like when we sleep, we breathe very shallowly. We take these very short breaths. We're not filling the oxygen and filling our lungs with enough oxygen to get through to get into our bloodstream, to then get into our cells. Because you guys have to look at this at a microscopic level of getting water from your mouth into your body, into your cells, into the cellular membrane, and then for it to break up that H2O, to then separate it to all the electrons and neutrons. Like that's how intricate this stuff really gets. But just simple breathing techniques and breathing method is 5-5-5. I know there's other ratios to inhaling for 5 seconds, holding it for 5 seconds, and then exhaling for 5. So inhale for 5, hold it for 5, exhale for 5. That makes sure that you're getting and filling your lungs with oxygen as much as you can. It's filtrating through your bloodstream, and then you're exhaling all that carbon dioxide out. Simple. And that's really good right before you go to bed. If you think of when people say like count sheep, do this breathing thing instead. It actually really works. Things that have more oxygenation in it is your leafy greens, chard, kale, spirula, chlorella. If you're like, what are those 2 last things? They're actually superfoods. And guess what? They are in your Shakeology. So you're good. Having indoor plants, something so simple. My plants are like the saddest thing ever. I kill all of my plants. Like that thing is the saddest looking thing I've ever seen. But I really do try. Obviously, plants will give you more oxygen where you live, the environment that you're around. The winter time, it's cold out. We don't open up our windows. We don't get enough fresh air. So make sure like every now and then, like this morning, well, I was kind of like thinking about what I was talking about tonight. I was like, you know what? I need to get more oxygen in here. I opened up the window, got some fresh air in, and you know what? Like I totally felt a lot better because I was getting not the heating system kicking in, but I was getting the fresh oxygen from outside. So ask yourself these things. Are you fatigued? Do you have circulation problems, poor digestion, muscle aches, dizziness, depression, memory loss, immune problems? Are you getting sick frequently? Drink more water, breathe deeper. Life force number 4. All right, guys, we're almost done. I know it's like been an hour. We're almost good. Alkalization. So your body wants to be in an alkaline state. I'm not going to get too sciencey with this, but just know that neutral is at 7, and that's where distilled water is. And if you don't have any type of filter, system in your house, distilled water is actually an excellent way to go, but you have to make sure that you add the minerals back into it. So you can just use Himalayan sea salt into your distilled water. And I would say that's probably the best way to go, unless like you have one of those alkalization systems that cost a couple grand, which I think are absolutely amazing. And I might get one, but I think distilled water is a great way to go if you don't have any other type of filtration system in your house. So that is at neutral at 7. We want to be alkaline. Disease cannot grow when we're in an alkaline state. When we're acidic, that's when disease is very, very rampant. So soda, 2.5 acidity, like that's pretty bad. So when you're telling yourself, I can have this Sprite Zero or Diet Coke, there's no calories, it's making your body acidic. It's making your body prone to disease. So yeah, there's no calories in it, but it's doing something to your body. That's something that's pretty bad. Your tissue holds more oxygen when it's in that alkaline state. So if your body's very acidic, you're going to be losing all that oxygenation that should be going around, and your body's working that much harder. I think through all of this, it's just making your body work a little bit easier, right? Like it's having to deal with so much between the toxins in the air, the food, whatever, the stress that we have in our lives. Like, don't you wish you can go back to like the prairie days where like all we did was, I don't know, like farm and just like stay at home and cook? But like especially female bodies, our hormone systems aren't like this. We were made to be at home and all that stuff. I totally agree, like girl power all the way. But that stress really messes with our hormones. So why don't we just give our bodies a little bit of help by doing these water and breathing better and looking for things that's going to alkalize our body a little bit more, so we can just give our body that much more of a chance to survive and be healthier. So things that are going to make your body acidic and things we should be avoiding, right? So we should be avoiding refined sugar. Anything that's processed is going to have that refined sugar in it, whether it is, this is a tricky one, and we'll talk about this in the group where things say organic cane sugar. It's still sugar, regardless if it's organic cane sugar, sugar, still sugar. Refined grains, so gluten. I think most of you know I'm gluten-free. I don't say you have to go gluten-free, but I would say it's going to make a world of a difference when you can have whole grains. Whole grains means like rice and quinoa. That does not have gluten in it. Refined grains is pasta and those tortilla chips and the wraps that have gluten in it. There's a lot of wraps out there that don't have gluten in it. You just have to look on the bag and you'll see it. Additives, flavoring agents, caffeine. Yes, I would say, you know, a cup of coffee a day is not a big deal. But if you're at like your 2-3 cups every single day, I think we all know that that's very acidic for us. Alcohol, drugs, over-the-counter drugs, like even Advil, Tylenol, very acidic. And look at how that's going to stress your liver and your kidney. When you're putting all that through your system, your body has to process that somehow. Your body has to process that 0 calorie free Sprite somehow, and it's going to be filtered through your liver and your kidney. And those things are working on overtime to get everything else processed. Stress is huge. If you can find one thing that relieves stress, and that's why I started doing baths. Yes, like weird for a 30-year-old girl to be doing baths. I used to do it every night. I'll be lucky if I do it like once a month. Once a week I would like to do, but it really does help to, when you're calm, everything else works better, right? You think better. When you're in a frantic state, don't you like lose where your keys are or don't know where you put your phone, or crap, you're in the car and you left your phone in the house? Like when you're stressed out, you can't think straight. And that happens for a reason, because your hormones are going absolutely crazy. So things that we should be eating, things like we stated again, that has water in it, that has oxygenation in it. leafy green vegetables, bright veggies, avocados, almonds, lemons, limes. So a lot of people think lemons, limes, yes, they are actually acidic, but when we ingest them, they're alkaline in our body. I will say, on a little side note, lemons, do not eat them. I was brought up like really Italian, and I would eat whole lemons like an orange, and actually eroded all of my enamel off my teeth. Luckily, I was able to get nice new teeth, so my teeth didn't fall out. But don't suck on lemons. Put them in the water and then drink them. That way you don't lose all the enamel off of your teeth. This one's my favorite. So how about Tums or Rolade? How about I Medicaid what hoagie I just ate, or the big bowl of pasta and meat sauce I just had? It's coming up, but let me just put something on top of it to make it better. So obviously, if we're having this reflux issue like I used to have in college, it's coming from something. It's our body telling us something is wrong. So, I mean, I think the American standard is to medicate, to cover things up, to cover the symptoms, but not find out what is causing those symptoms, to find what the root problem is. So if those Rolaids are going into your stomach, our stomach is supposed to be acidic. Our body knows what system should be alkaline and what should be acidic. Our body knows how to do that. When you're putting this stuff into your system and then you're making your stomach alkaline with the Rolaids, it makes your body work that much more harder by trying to work double time to get it acidic. That way, when you actually get more food down, you can break it up. So your body has a rhyme and reason for everything. When you're throwing things on top of it to try and cover it up, your body's fighting 5 times harder to try and fix the problems that you're trying to cover up. So try and find the root of the problem. That way you can solve it instead of just adding onto it. So, kind of like what I went through, like with my IBS issues, they would give me I think it was called protonics or something. So it was something to slow down my intestines, so they contract better. I don't know, whatever. But did that actually solve my issue that I was eating like crap and drinking like crazy? No, my doctor didn't care. Drink as much beer as you want. Have as much. I used to make this is my college days, obviously. I'd make the box of the starch, flake potatoes, make that and put a crap load of cheddar cheese, and that would be my dinner. Obviously, not the healthy points, and I was wondering why at that point my stomach issues were getting worse. So find the problem and don't try and cover things up. Like I said before, disease can't flourish in an alkaline environment. So if you're eating those foods, and I think as much as we don't like veggies, when I hear things like this, or if you guys have Netflix, please go on and watch Food Incorporated, or you can find a ton of documentaries on food. That stuff, what's good for you and what's bad, but when you really, really know what chemical plants like Monsanto, how they're changing the grain and what they're doing to our farming system, unless you really know that, then you kind of can say, all right, I can try eating one more leafy green, or I can try having bok choy for a change and see what that's going to do for me. All right, so our last slide and we're done. And this is the life force number 5, because we'll probably talk about more detoxifying in the weeks to come. But your body needs to get rid of things. It needs to get rid of the toxins. It needs to get rid of the waste. So I put this picture to remind myself, if you've ever seen a garbage strike going on and piles and piles of garbage start to happen. It happened in New York City a couple times. I don't think it happened recently, but if you Google pictures on it, you'll see piles and piles of garbage, right? So when all the piles of garbage start adding up, guess what starts coming? Rats, diseases, rodents, cockroaches, something's smelling really funky that you don't even want to know what it is. That's what your body is like if it's holding all these toxins in, if it's getting all these chemicals from processed foods, if it's, you know, getting dirty water, if you're not breathing enough oxygen in so you can, you know, perspiration, working out actually helps to detoxify you. You're getting rid of the toxins in your body, and then you're drinking more water, right? Because when you're working out, you're going to feel a little thirsty. It's going to help you to flush those, the lactic acid out of your system. So we need to be able to, at a cellular level, our cells need to use what we're giving it, use the nutrition, use the oxygen, use the water, use the H2O, and then they need to be able to get rid of the waste. If they didn't get rid of waste, we would be dead. We would be sitting in a pile of our own, you know what. So how do you get rid of this stuff? By doing all the other things that we've talked about. Getting the right nutrition, right? By eating whole foods, by diminishing processed foods. Now, listen, guys, if you've been just doing, and I've worked with people that eat fast food for 3 meals every single day. If you can just scale that back to 1 time a day or 2 times a day, it's all about just making those little changes over time that makes a big difference. It's not about like running into your kitchen right now and throwing everything out. It's just maybe about replacing one of those things with something different. Maybe replacing your spinach with organic spinach. And then that's going to accumulate, and that's where you're going to see the big success happening. It's not going to be by something huge, by something big right now. It's going to be by something small, something little over time that's really going to add up. It's called the compound effect. Really good book too. So we need to be able to get rid of all this waste that's in our system, drink more water, breathe more, de-stress a little bit, go take a bath, relax, get your hormones in order a little bit just by relaxing yourself. So that is all of the presentation that I had for tonight. Thanks everyone for sticking around, and I'm glad I recorded this because an hour is not too bad. Did anyone, I didn't see anything in the chat, but if you guys are still there and have any questions or comments about anything, I'm here to answer, so fire away. Patty, since I see your face, I'm gonna pick on you.
I was gonna say, I think I'm good.
Did you, anything that kind of gave you a aha moment?
I was actually kind of intrigued by like the filters and stuff with like the fluoride and all, so I'll definitely be interested to learn more about that. And
all right, I will definitely be adding that in. I'll do that probably next week for the webinar then, about more of our environment stuff and not just the food. Yeah, that's really interesting. Even like the shampoos, the conditioners, the lip balm, all that gets absorbed into us. Crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else? Kristen, Cheryl, if you're still there.
So it was more of my husband's question.
Yeah,
but
I'm glad he listened.
Yeah, he's been listening. It's funny because he's actually down south right now. I live in Salt Lake, and about probably 5 hours is another big city called St. George, and he's down there, and he's been working out and stuff. And but bacon, so he loves pork bacon, and I agree, I love bacon too, but is bacon still okay, or is it more like low sodium bacon, or should I stick with turkey bacon?
I would say I do. I don't know if I forget, do you have a Whole Foods there? I know we talked about that.
Yeah, we do have Whole Foods.
There's a brand, I forget the name of it, but it legit has paleo on it. So it is, it's uncured. So I think if it's uncured bacon, and I think like Applegate Farms has the uncured bacon too. So they're not using the sugar to cure it. So you're just getting the animal fat, which I think is absolutely fine. And that's what I cook my Brussels sprouts in. So I'll do like 5 pieces of the bacon, I'll take it out. I'll put it on like a towel. Then I'll cook the Brussels sprouts in the bacon fat. And then I'll just like crunch up the bacon in the towel. And then like throw everything together once the Brussels sprouts have been nicely crisp and cooked. Yeah. Yeah, I think bacon is totally good if it's the uncured kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a question. He was very worried about that. He's like, you can't have bacon? I was like, it's okay.
Go for it. I would say like, I think it's in the book, but I think it's like, what, like 4 strips of bacon equal a red, or maybe 3?
I don't know. I normally eat 2, so.
I can do some searching on that. But I wouldn't do bacon every day.
Okay.
Like everything else.
I don't plan on doing that.
I would do it like every other day if you really love bacon. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything
no, that's more of him. Yeah, that's more of him, not me. I was just wondering for him and if I'd choose to have bacon one day.
Cool. Good question. Anything else? Did you get anything out of this?
No, it made sense. I've definitely been drinking a lot more water. Sadly, I brought my blender to work a couple times to blend my Shakeology, but it's good to know that you can leave it for 24 hours so that I can make it before I go to work instead of having to bring my blender with me, because people stare at you like, what are you doing?
Oh, I always get stared at. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, lately I did a couple times where I didn't bring the blender. I just kind of shook it really good, but I think blending is probably better.
Yeah, it tastes better. You're still getting the same nutritional value.
Okay.
If you do it. I would just, like if you're in transit from work and home, just like put like one of those ice pack things next to it, just so it stays a little bit cool.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like an ice cube or 2 in it, and then that will kind of like melt on the way to work. But it's cold out, so you might actually be okay for now.
Yeah, we have fridges at work and everything, so it's not like I can't put it there. It's just that like today I didn't bring my blender because I was in a strength meeting all day, so I felt awkward being like, hey, do we have time where I can go blend something?
I'll be right back. Give me 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to make this. All right. Thanks, ladies, for hanging on. I'll be posting more stuff during the week, and I think we'll just do, was it Wednesday night? Wednesday night, 9 o'clock for the next 4 weeks for the webinar. I am going on vacation, not this coming week, but the week after that, so I'll just have a recording of the webinar. Not sure of the topic, but like Patty, wanted to know more about that, so I'm definitely up to doing whatever you guys want to learn more about too. All right, have a great day, girls. Bye.
Bye.